Bueno, ikusten ari zarete
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, there's a bit of a delay due to COVID restrictions. We're accessing the room little by little, and that's why we are going to start a bit later. In around 5 minutes, we will start with the International Conference on Vocational Training.
and we know it, but due to COVID restrictions, people are coming into this Congress area a bit late, groups by groups, so we will start soon, like in around 5 minutes. So thank you very much for waiting and for your comprehension. Egunon Jon Andreok, zer moduz, ongi etorri. Jaurlaritzak antolatu duen lanbide heziketako nazioarteko kongresu honetara. Berriro be, lanbide heziketak munduko bazter guztietan.
Good morning. Today we will be here with experts on vocational education and training, with experts from all the world. COVID has posed many problems, but here we are and we are really grateful for it. So welcome to the Basque Country, to a new VET conference organized by the Education Department of the Basque government. As I was saying, with professionals from all the world, that will be analyzing the situation of VET in the era of technology and intelligence, as well as humanity. Seeing the number of registrations to the conference, we see that this was the right issue to address. Tomorrow we will have almost 4,400 people from countries all over the world. Of all of this, 900 will be here in San Sebastian with us.
You for being with us. Thanks to the participants and also to the representatives of the European Commission that are joining. And tomorrow, vocational training, vocational education and training is moving forward thanks to the efforts of different actors, such as the teachers, the centers, the institutions, the administrations, and the companies. Each one of you have your own experiences, and we would like you to share them here, to put them together during this Congress so that together we can improve. We hope this Congress is useful, and if it is, it will definitely be good for the students of vocational education and training. Messieurs, dames, bonjour. On vous donne la bienvenue à ce congrès international de formation professionnelle. Le gouvernement basque qui organise ce congrès souhaiterait que pendant ces 2 jours, on partage nos expériences pour que, entre tous et toutes, on puisse améliorer le travail qu'on fait dans la formation professionnelle autour du monde. This Congress will be broadcasted live and differed in 3 different time zones so that all the participants, wherever they are in the world, they can follow and watch all the presentations and the panel discussions at a reasonable moment. Hemen izango zareten, hemen izango garen 900 part.
We also have the representatives of the 17 autonomous communities, as well as those from the inspection of education and the representatives of different school councils. This conference is full of content and presentations, so let's open it officially. And to do so, we have Joaquín Bildarratz, Minister of Education of the Basque government. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Basque Country. I want to thank you on behalf of the Basque government. Thank you for participating in this conference on VET. We have organized this conference that we believe will benefit everyone here and also those that are following us online. I would like to thank the General Secretary of VET of the Ministry, the different members of the European Union, as well as the minister from Asturias, and others are from different autonomous communities and different continents. Also, businessmen, Confebasque, Aderi. Thank you, all colleagues. It's a pleasure to be here in this room full of people that are passionate about vocational education and training. We have before us 2 days that will be very intense, but also very interesting. We will be listening, making proposals, and sharing experiences. What's true is that history shows that values change when we rethink how we want to live. The future allows us to redefine the concept of progress. The advance of technology takes us towards a world that is based on 2 basic pillars, and that is sustainable human development and social cohesion. It is clear that a new reality is arising. We need to find a new way of understanding life, and we need to be prepared to take these changes in a calm manner. My great friend and former Minister of Education and physicist that you all know, Pedro Miguel Echenique, said in this months of pandemic that we all use the concept of solidarity. Solidarity with our elders, solidarity with the countries we need to work on in cooperation. But there is a term in the sphere of solidarity that hasn't been used, and that is the future. That means helping the youth, helping them with the adequate means. And the means are education, science, technology, and development. That means development understood as knowing how to do more by using less. We will have to coexist with digitization, connectivity, artificial intelligence, data, technologies that will demand a progress that will mean a new way of living. Nowadays, robots already interact with machines, people, and collaborate amongst them. And technology will continue to progress very quickly. The Basque Country VET is preparing the professionals that will provide a response during the present but also in the future. Through these last years, we've focused on the development of a high-performance VET, transforming learning spaces, introducing the culture of innovation and creative routines, and also providing support to a production fabric, specifically SMEs, by helping them with innovating to have new products and new processes. But now we have to give a step forward towards the new applied intelligence environments. We are not in a world of predictable changes, but in a world of disruptive change. This means we need to be innovative since we're learning. We're putting in place a smart VET that provide a response to the challenges of the fourth industrial revolution, working in different 4.0 environments, developing digital transformation, working with artificial intelligence and smart system in sectors like the industry and advanced manufacturing, biosciences, health, precision farming, gastronomy, the automotive sector, and also the textile sector. We want colleges that reinforce sustainability, inclusion, as I said before, solidarity. The VET colleges in the Basque Country have always been the core of our success, with the great work of their management teams and the effort made by the teachers. Now we need to continue progressing towards a new transformation that allows us to confront the big challenges of the present that will be multiplied in the future. And therefore, our colleges become smart organizations that work on an ongoing transformation that confront and provide rapid and effective responses to changes and new challenges, doing so in the adequate manner. And we've seen this through the results we've obtained up till now. The colleges will deploy their activities in different fields. They will become organizations looking towards the future with the capacity of creating new ideas and putting them in place. Always taking risks, working on ongoing innovation, and understanding that a new way of doing things is possible. And always with our support. We need innovative responses. We need to be agile, and we need to continue working as we have up till now, and even more in a collaborative manner. The collaboration between different centers is one of our main strengths, because we all know that learning and knowledge grows when we share it. BT colleges are a big pillar, a pillar that makes sure that we will have a future welfare and, as I was saying, a future for our society. You're an example of commitment, effort, hope, and work. We face uncertain and complex times, and the Basque society needs us. We need you. And you will always have our support, and what's even more important, our respect. Thank you all for the work you're carrying out and for everything you've achieved up till now. In this International Congress, we will share knowledge and experiences. The experts will speak of different advanced sectors. We will talk about different ideas, and we will address very interesting subjects. Thanks for your attention. I hope you enjoy your time in the Basque Country and in San Sebastian, and that you can really benefit of this conference. And I wouldn't like to finish without thanking the whole team, the whole family of the Education Department, all the deputy ministers, delegates. We're all a team, and together with all our schools, colleges, centers, we're all a big team. And as I said, I would like to finish by once again quoting my friend Pedro Miguel, and he said, "Real influence is not modeling the spirit of another so that he or she is like us, but in having an artist and helping the artist so that each of us can sculpt his own work, even it's something that goes against our wishes." Thank you.
Eskerrik asko baita zuri ere, Bildarratz jauna.
Thank you, Minister of Education. And now we give the floor to Clara Sanz, General Secretary for Vocational Training of the Spanish Ministry of Education and Vocational Training in Spain. Welcome. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm really sorry I cannot continue in the Basque language, but thank you for inviting me to be here in the opening session. Minister of Education of the Basque Government, Joaquim Bildarratz, Deputy Minister Jorge Arévalo. We have 2 days to speak about vocational training in this big event that provides a double satisfaction. First of all, because we're dealing with a subject we're passionate about, but also because we're able to see each other once again. So my congratulations to the organizations. The task we deal with is fundamental because it will determine the welfare of each young person that has to be trained. of each worker that sees that what they did in their job is now changing, and they need to continue training to be able to work. Of the unemployed that wants to be back in the labor market, of those that want to progress in their career. But it's also fundamental for the economic and social welfare of a country and of its territory, for the survival of companies and of productivity and competitiveness. That's why the transformation of vocational training is so important for employability and to improve the position of each company and territory in the new financial model. We're in the fourth industrial revolution, which is transforming our daily lives and our situation, which is very different to that of some years back. Jobs are different, but the way in which we organize our job and the way of relating to each other, as well as our way of consuming products and services, will be the same. The fourth industrial revolution integrates technology and digitization in all sectors, absolutely all. Artificial robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, big data, 5G, internet, of things, augmented reality, mobility, new materials will be part of all sectors. And that's what we're addressing in this conference. For the first time in the history of humanity, technological dynamism goes so fast that we have changes in shorter periods of times, even shorter than the renewal of generations. So we won't be able to survive with what we acquired in our youth. And that's why it's so important to have systems that allow ongoing training through our careers. And the first decades will mean a big change in our careers. Digitization will change our working environments, the management of organizations, production processes in all sectors. Knowledge is present everywhere, but there is an agreement in that the key, the essential key for the growth of an economy is knowledge and training. The fourth industrial revolution is the revolution of skills, of digitization and intelligence. That's why the name of this conference is so important. Through our lives, we need to acquire new knowledge to be integrated in our professional life, but also our personal life. You need to be more skilled to do those things that machines cannot do. On the midterm, digitization, algorithms, and other things will destroy employment, but new employment will be generated. And we knew that many of the professions we know will disappear or will be transformed. And we also know that at least 50% of the job positions, we're even talking about a 60%, would require that intermediate skilling that is provided by vocational training. So it's not due to chance that vocational training is a priority in all countries in the EU and outside the EU. In all analyses, we've been able to identify what we need to improve our economy and to be part of this new financial model I made reference to beforehand. So technology and digital transformation, as well as digitization, that will change the world of employment as we know it nowadays. That's why we need a vocational training linked to innovation, applied research, entrepreneurship, digitization, and sustainability in all production sectors. A vocational training system based on excellence, innovation, and I insist on this idea, public-private partnerships, and working together with companies. Because technology opens up many possibilities. We need professionals and companies that can make the most of them in a smart manner, with training, with qualifications at a technical level, but also in those permanent skills that make you a good professional that contributes an added value wherever you are. That is the vocational training that we fight for in all autonomous communities and from the Ministry of Education, and what we will be addressing in this conference. In an autonomous region, acknowledge due to its excellence in vocational training, because they understood for many years how important vocational training is, and also known for the quality of its vocational training. As you know, the Spanish government has as one of its priorities the transformation of vocational training, not only with the modernization plan that is already being implemented for vocational training, but also with actions like the creation of more than 200,000 positions, creating new kinds of classrooms, and also allowing professionals to acknowledge their skills. Also, vocational training and being able to be studied in different languages, and also with agreements with private businesses. But the law for vocational training is in the Parliament now, in the last stage, and this basic law will be a big jump for those that have been drafting it. Why? Because we integrate in one only system vocational training. It's a law of consensus, it's contemporary, and it establishes a vocational training model that is flexible, agile, accessible for all, and provides responses throughout our lives to the needs of anyone at any point. And we trust that it will be passed by the Parliament in the first months of next year. So I hope we can meet again to be able to celebrate this in February. The process hasn't been an easy one. It's been a complex law, but we all that are part of vocational training should be very satisfied. And I believe it's a very good basic law. And I would like to finish by publicly thanking the collaboration and the support of the Education Department of the Basque government. It's the Deputy Minister, dear Jorge Arevalo, for the long discussions before this draft. So thank you, Jorge Arevalo, and thank you, Minister, and I hope you have a wonderful Congress. We will all be learning. Thank you.
Eskerrik asko, Sanz Anderea. Muchas gracias, señora Sanz.
Thank you, Madam. And our next guest wasn't able to come to San Sebastian due to COVID restrictions, but we will be listening to her.
Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion at the European Commission. Please play video.
Dear representative of the Spanish and Basque authorities, dear participants, let me first congratulate the Basque government for putting to the forefront the future of vocational education and training. And what a better way to reflect on vocational education and training than to focus the discussion on humanity and its interaction with technology. We need a human-centric approach to technological development. People and skills are at the core of the EU strategy to recover from the COVID pandemic and manage the digital and green transitions. These transformations will shape many of the technological developments in the next decade and affect the economy, our society, and each and every one of us, whether active in the labor market or not. We estimate that 100 million people in Europe will have to update their skills to keep up with new technological development. Upskilling and reskilling throughout our working lives will have to become the new normal. This is why one of the three targets set in the European Pillar of Social Rights Action Plan is for 60% of working-age adults to participate in training. How do we do this? First, we have to work in partnership. The Pact for Skills offers an effective approach to upskilling by pooling expertise from all actors in a given industrial ecosystem or in a given region. And I know many organizations, particularly in your country, that have adhered to it. Well done! Second, we need to anticipate skills needs. The skills agenda and the latest EU vocational education training policy framework both put emphasis on the importance of skills intelligence. This is the basis for informed decisions by policymakers, training providers, enterprises, and increasingly adults. In the face of today's changes, providing information on current and future labor market trends and skills needs is more important than ever. Finally, and maybe most importantly, we need to empower all of us to learn. This is why in December, the Commission will present two new initiatives. One on individual learning account. Its aim is to give individuals the financial support and incentives needed to participate in the training that they choose, regardless of their employment status. The second initiative is about micro-credentials. Micro-credentials are key in building trust in the learning outcomes of training for both employers and workers. These two initiatives will place individuals in the driving seat, offer them the necessary support tools to upskill and reskill, with one main goal in mind: to have more adults regularly accessing training and reach the 60% target. Vocational training should play an important role in supporting young people and adults to acquire the skills needed for the green and digital transition. Yet, vocational education and training systems within and outside the EU are very different. But we all face common challenges. It is why we need to work together in developing effective policy responses that empower individuals to pursue fulfilling lives and jobs. I would like to end by wishing you all an insightful Congress. Thank you.
Our regional minister, Joaquin Bildarratz, just said that, as did the Secretary General. The fourth Industrial Revolution is going to transform humankind, because it's not going to just change what we do, but it's going to change who we are. Because there's going to be a coming together of technologies, and humans are going to be tied into what is digital and the biological and technological world. We're all going to be together. And this way of seeing things means that we're heading towards a scenario which is characterized by an automated, a cognitive world. A world in which there's a great deal of connectivity, where we have immediate access to data. 5G is already here, and people are now working on 6G. But above all, we're going to be connected to everything. You've all heard about the Internet of Things, and we're now working towards the Internet of Everything. But in the future, we'll have the Internet of Feelings, where we, people, our sensory organs, are going to control the whole of our surroundings. And how exciting is that? And to face this future, there are three strategies to face this future. One is just to live in the past and just become irrelevant. Just, see what happens. Things will go back to the way they were. For me, that's just being lazy or sloppy. Or we can adapt and survive. Okay, that's conformity. Or we can transform, innovate, and face the future. I'd call that being damn brave. Because the future isn't, we're not waiting for it. We're not expecting it to come. We face it. That's what we're doing today. And we're going to explain a little bit about that to you today. So to do that, to face the future, we need to prepare people for disruptive change. Things that we don't know about. And I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see that future together through those people that are trained. Any transformational change in humankind has always brought us challenges. And how do we face those challenges? Via setting goals, setting objectives. And when you set a goal, it sounds a bit like a straight line, which may go uphill a little bit, but actually we all know that that's not what happens. There are good times when you're heading towards your goal. There are bad times. There are times when things are going really well, and other times when you just want to throw the towel in and forget it. So that's like this wiggly line where we try to find the way out to get to our ultimate goal. And that means that life has a huge unpredictability coefficient. And this huge unpredictability coefficient means that life provides us with infinite possibilities. We can do many, many things, actually many more than you think. And this brings us on to two concepts. What is inevitable and what is unexpected. There are some things in life which are unavoidable, inevitable, and others which are completely unexpected. This horrible pandemic that we've experienced was totally unexpected. And yet there are other things that are unavoidable. For example, if we think of Japan, we know that there's going to be major earthquakes in Japan. We know that. So what do? They get prepared. They've got their buildings built to withstand these earthquakes. So they know that something that's unexpected and also inevitable won't catch them unawares. We know that the level of the sea is increasing, the level of the oceans is increasing. And that's unavoidable. But people are already working so that when the level of the sea does rise, we're prepared. And countries aren't flooded. And things don't come unexpected. A more graphic example, perhaps. If you're in an aeroplane, you're flying along, and there are two pilots in the aeroplane, the pilot and the co-pilot. They're having a chat about football, and they're just saying that the Real Sociedad team in San Sebastian is first in the league, in the Spanish league. They're talking about that, and all of a sudden they hear boom, and the left engine has exploded. So the pilot says, no, it doesn't matter, we'll just connect that, we'll use the extinctor, we'll put the fire out, don't worry, we'll fire up the second engine and we'll get to the airport. But then bang, the second engine, okay, right, no, it doesn't matter, we'll get that fire put out, we'll start planing down, gliding down, and then the co-pilot says, oh, I think a wing is about to drop off now. And it says, don't worry, we'll tell the crew we're going to have an emergency landing. So they tell the crew we're going to be an emergency landing. They're all ready. And there's a passenger in the plane who's just relaxing, opens his eyes. Oh, there's something what's going on here? And he says to the hostess, I'm so sorry, but are we going to land now? And the hostess says, yes, we're going to take an awful lot of land. So what's inevitable is that the aeroplane is going to land. But what's unexpected is that they were prepared. The fourth Industrial Revolution is unavoidable, but what we can't be is caught out on the hoof. We can't be caught out not expecting that this is going to happen. And this is what we're trying to do in VET in the Basque Country. So what we need to do that is to generate expectations in society in general so that they can understand what's going on, what may happen, that may well be very positive, and throughout the whole of VET, which is what we're talking about here. And of course, amongst all our students and amongst all our teachers who are the most important if we're going to get these feelings across to our students. And when we create expectations, the first thing that you need to do is think about what you want to do. The second thing you need to do is to think about what you can do. And thirdly, what are you going to do? And perhaps even more important is what people think you're doing or perceive that you're doing. That's what people are going to look at. And why do I say that? Because you generate expectations, which is what drives forward motivation. And what motivation does is it moves forward the enthusiasm of the people. And if you meet your goals, you create prestige, credibility, and trust. But if you don't meet these expectations, that's the problem. That's why you've got to create the expectations properly. So you need to define what you're going to do, you need to walk your talk, and what's even more important, you need to prove that you're walking your talk. So what I want to try to do today is to prove how we're working in vocational education and training, which you will be able to see this afternoon and check that we're doing it right on the tours this afternoon. So we've created expectations. People are more or less paying attention, and then you get all these different opinions popping up. It's like when you're in a tunnel and you see a light at the end of the tunnel. And the pessimist pops up and says, oh, this is a train that's just coming towards us. You can see its lights. But the optimist says, no, that's us coming out of the tunnel. It's the light at the end of the tunnel. And the realist says, oh, I'm just going to stay here and see if that light moves. If the light moves, it's a train coming towards you. If the light doesn't move, it's the exit to the tunnel. And there's the fourth, it's the one that's driving the train, who says, what are those three dimwits doing on the train tracks? So there are four different viewpoints about a light at the end of a tunnel. That's the way things are. And we also know that if we can manage expectations well, there'll be different viewpoints. And that's what happens. And we know that there are people that are drowning in problems, and there are also that are people that swim, that like floating around in opportunities. So we need to create all the opportunities that we can, and those people that are swimming in those problems or drowning those problems can also get hold of a life raft which represents an opportunity. It's not just a matter of seeing the glass half empty or the glass half full. No, what we need to know is whether we're filling that glass or emptying that glass. That's what's important, because this is down to personal accountability and general accountability in all of these changes and transformations that we're going to have to go through. So the word that I want to talk about today is transform. We need to transform. We need to change. We are changing. We are transforming. If you look back in history, when humankind has taken a great leap forward, it's always been in a very convulsive moment, a very difficult moment. And I think we're going through a difficult moment at the current time, and it's going to carry on. But what's important is that then there will be huge leap forwards, and these will benefit humankind. So future is always a continuous movement. It's something that never ends. That means that a static system will never operate in a continually changing world. So we need dynamic systems, dynamic colleges, and dynamic VET. That's why we in the Basque government are working on 3 transitions with a very, very important goal. Our regional minister said that human sustainable development through 3 transformations: digital technological transition, energy and environmental transition. I think 3 weeks ago, the Secretary General of the UN said we are committing suicide. We are committing suicide. That's what the UN General Secretary said. It's no good just reducing greenhouse gases or pollution or CO2. That's insufficient. It's no good just recycling. What we need to is to regenerate our planet, because we're committing suicide so that we can guarantee for the future generations that they're going to be able to live in this wonderful house which is really our world, planet Earth. We need to change our lifestyle, because otherwise the climate is going to change our lives. This is really, really important. And then a healthcare transition, which obviously has been through a terrible time during the pandemic. And we are changing the healthcare system a lot because we're learning through the pandemic. Our productive fabric is being changed in the Basque Country. We are resetting employment and we're adapting our training systems. And as our regional minister said, we're turning VET into smart VET. Smart VET, which needs to respond to what's happening now, to the needs of the people so that they can work, our students so that they can work, and the needs of our companies so that they can be competitive. And we're also working in emerging environments and things that we see through digitization we need to respond to. And also, although it may seem strange, we're also working in unknown environments because we already feel that there's a digital transformation out there, and we've got a sort of a feeling of the kind of work that we can develop, the kind of jobs that might be out there. So we're trying to detect, we're trying to pinpoint the professional profiles that we're going to need in the future and that are so important. Always doing so together with advanced technologies, and always, and I'll repeat this time and time again, always with the support of what's most important in this world, which is the human factor. In Basque VET, when we talk about smart VET, what we require is high performance training which has given us some great results thanks to the tremendous effort made by our teachers. We've got over 2,200 teachers working on in these technologies, over 24,000 students and 80 coordinators, all of whom are working extremely hard. And I'd like to say now, thank you. Thank you to all of these people who are putting into practice these new learning, teaching methodologies. We are doing all of this in a new kind of college. Very complex transformation, new buildings, new colleges. These are new VET smart colleges. We're going to work in collaborative networks, as we always do. Employability is going to require everybody to be far more professional, because the way we are trained needs to be improved. And we also know that it's no good just trying to defend jobs. No, we need to defend people who are working. In the past, what we did was we defended a job so that a person could occupy that job, that post. No, let's now defend the worker so that that worker can occupy that job or any other job that may pop up. So we're supporting their employability. We've debated a great deal the issue of the future. We've spoken about that with our companies, with the Confederation of Private Companies, with their president. When we talk to those companies, and we've spoken to them on many occasions, they all say the same thing. And the same thing goes when we talk about the VET college organizations. We all have the same goal, which is that the future is going to require talent. Oh, that's all great. That sounds great. So this is a huge leap forward. We're now talking about a skilled worker, a person that's doing their job properly. No. Or professional, a skilled professional. That's great, a skilled professional. That person knows how to do things well, but you've got to add something else to that. We need a professional, a worker that can add value to what they're doing, not just do the job professionally and well. And what's more, we need to take a further leap, and that's what we're doing now. What we need is talented professional. I'm sure you've seen many definitions of talent, but we need to apply those definitions. How can we get talent out of our classrooms? It's true, talent is innate. It's true, but you can train talent. And what we do in our classrooms is train that talent. How do we do that? Firstly, we get talented people need 5 components. Firstly, there's a cultural component. They need to understand what's happening in life, in their surroundings. They need to understand. They've got to have general culture, general knowledge. They need to have a scientific component. They want to understand the why and the what for of things. Then a technological component, because these people are going to use an awful lot of technology, very different technology as time goes by. A professional component as well. Of course, they need to be the best professionals in the world. And finally, and perhaps this is the most important, a personal component, that is values, human values applied to the world of employment. Those are 5 components that we need if we want our people to have talent. And in these high performance training that we said, I'd add we need to work on critical thought. We're very good, but we also need to work on constructive thought. It's no good just saying, I don't like this isn't working. You need to do is then find some kind of constructive thought about how to get that to work, and then creative thought. Now that you've said, oh, okay, you can do things that'll work, why don't you try thinking about something else? That's creativity, and that means you need to work on 3 kinds of intelligence. Emotional intelligence, generative intelligence, you need to have ideas, select from this list of ideas and decide which ideas you're going to use, and executive intelligence, that is, do it, walk that talk. And in addition to that, you'll see up here, soft skills. These are cross-cutting skills. We're working on 24 soft skills. You can see them on the screen. For example, here we're working on planning, complex problem solving, curiosity or interest. We're very interested in that. Applied innovation. But we're also working on, for example, imagination, integration in roboticized environments. How do you face changes? You need to be able to face changes at any given moment in time. It sounds easy, but it's not. We're also working on stress management. People need to know how to manage their stress if they're at a complicated moment, or they need to have the ability to concentrate on their lifelong learning, because we now know that you need to transform yourself all the time because of the technological revolution and of the processes that are going to be involved in this. This part of concentrating learning is like a parachute. You either open your mind or it's not going to work. Same as a parachute. Got to have an open mind. So we need to work on cognitive flexibility. You need to be open to understand what kind of knowledge you're going to need in different surroundings. So we're working on those 24 skills as well, these soft skills. And that's going to make us different from machines and robots, because we've got soft skills, but 3 important things as well. Intuition, emotion, and our ability to improvise. These are 3 keys which are going to give us a humanistic leadership and set us apart from machines. So we've got to have all of this together with these 3 elements: intuition, the ability to improvise, and emotion. And that's what will give us humanist leadership heading for the future. That means that the way we organise our colleges needs to be very, very different. We can't bring about all these transformations if we just organise our colleges in the same way, if they just carry on with the same structure. So what are we working on? These smart VET centres are driving forward a digital transformation. We work with advanced technologies, and we are now developing in our colleges different spaces, which makes it possible for us to work in a different way. Work in a different way on the digital transformation that I mentioned earlier. Digital transformation, we shouldn't confuse that with digitization. I'm not talking about digitization. Digitization is applied technology to a space, to a thing. I've got a camera, I've got a computer, I've got a screen, I can make a video, I can provide online training. That's space digitization. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about digital transformation. I'm talking about changing the whole of the VET system from the bottom upwards, from the way we train our teachers to the way we give classes, everything. Our regional minister said something really, really clear, which is that the education department is going to, all of the education department, work on digital transformation. Here I've got my colleague here with me, the Deputy Minister for Education, who's going through digital transformation in the whole of the education system, right from kindergarten to university. My also colleague in charge of university, Adolfo Moraes, who's working with universities to also bring about this digital transformation. Or my colleague Xavier Azpuro, who's got the hardest job, which is to negotiate and sell that idea to the Treasury Department so we get the money to carry out this digital transformation. These all four are working together. And when we talk about vocational education and training, VET, my minister said to me, we need to be at the cutting edge of digital transformation. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to be at the cutting edge of the digital transformation. But to be so, we need a strategy. But we've prepared our strategy. And we're now working in 70 smart colleges in the Basque Autonomous Region. By the year 2024, we'll have 70 smart colleges. There are currently 24 that are being worked on. We call them smart VET centres, but there'll be 70 in the end. And what we do is we understand our strategy, we're changing our infrastructures, we're changing the organisation. I'll explain that to you in a minute. We're working with new digital spaces, we're applying smart systems, and we're going to invest an awful lot of money in training our teaching staff, because we need our teaching staff to be digital experts. We're working on which processes can be digitized and which digital tools we need. This is what we've developed in our strategy, and now we're applying that strategy into our 24 colleges that I've just mentioned. To do that, the college structures has like 3 departments in it. One is the strategy department, the other is the innovation department, and the other is the operational department. Overarching that, we've got the management board. And there we've got knowledge areas. I've got all kinds of teachers, and I'm a teacher, by the way. We know all these departments, and what we're going to do is replace departments with what we've called cross-cutting knowledge areas, because there's no point in having a department of automation and a department of mechanical manufacturing or a department of IT or sports sciences, because now if you're mixing all the different areas where we work, we're talking about people that work in the healthcare sector, dealing with people that have specific needs, or the IT field needs to work and collaborate with the automotive department. So teachers need to work interdepartmentally. These are what we call the cross-cutting knowledge areas. We work on applied research and in VET. In the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, we've worked in our VET colleges with over 3,300 companies, and what we've managed to do is to implement over 1,000 applied innovation projects for products and for processes in our VET colleges, that's really important. But if we now look at entrepreneurship, our VET colleges per year create between 90 and 100 companies. Over the last 12 years, we've set up over 1,100 companies in VET colleges, and 70% of them today still are up and running. Look now at these diagrams, and you'll see here at the bottom, you've got the management team, our strategic manager with his team, the operational manager with his team, the quality team, and we also have another person, which is the change driver. A change driver is a person within a college who's going to encourage people to really drive forward all the changes that need to come about. The final structure, and this is the structure that we're aiming for, and you can see the work that you're doing if you look at this slide, because on the right what you've got, and we're looking at how the collaborative teams all work together, all the different sections work together, and how the innovation and strategy teams then develop things after having observed, setting out the strategy, and once you know what the strategy is, you then add other possibilities, do things in a different way, generate the value that we're going to need to respond to the different college environments, so that the operational section can now make things happen. That's the approach, and it's a transformation that you are helping us bring about, and it's spectacular. It's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of hard work. I'm really well aware of it, but we need you to carry on working like that if we're going to bring about this transformation, which is so complex. What's more, in our colleges, in these 24 colleges, we've got digital transformation teams. What we do is we organize people who drive forward digital transformation. We've got what we call those that drive that forward. We've got digital teachers and those that are in charge of digital infrastructures. Altogether, they coordinate with the different coordinators of active learning methods. As I said, we work on challenge-based collaborative learning. This is all connected to digital transformation teams as well. And what's more, these spaces are like levers for transformation. We're changing our spaces, we're changing our classrooms. It's important to modify in our colleges the spaces that we have in the college. I'm going to start talking about digital spaces. We'll see artificial intelligence, and we're going to see lots of things this afternoon, but we're working on advanced technologies now, which are technologies that are already there to be implemented. For example, there are interactive, immersive, intelligent technologies. There's artificial intelligence, connectivity, 5G, we're working on that. Data analysis and management thanks to big data, or cybersecurity labs, which we're also going to try to work on, and you'll see that in our colleges, and blockchain applications, so that we're doing things properly. If I now concentrate just for a moment on these high performance centers, and I'm going to show you the first video first, you can see in these high performance spaces what students need to do first of all is capture the information that they need, then analyze that information in a different place. They can analyze that information on their own or together with a group. Then there's a third space where they work on the different possibilities, the different alternatives that are out there. What can I do with this information that I have? What can I do once I've analyzed this information? Because there's a challenge there. You get the information, you analyze the information, see if you can do something differently, and then you start working on prototypes. You can work on your own on prototypes or with other people on prototypes. We tend to do things as a team here, and then you work with technology, because prototypes are there to see whether what you've thought about will actually work or not, and then you go from prototype to the end product, and that's where you really everything is on the line. This is how we approach things in our high performance spaces. If we then look at smart warehouses and smart workshops, you'll see these are machines that are connected to each other, that are connected also to the cloud, and their students and teachers connect with their companies digitally to make something manufactured, to work with each other, and this is all done digitally, automatically. They're also going to work with robots, but as you can see, we've got smart warehouses. If a teacher or a student goes into that warehouse and to pick up a tool, we know who's picked up their tool, which tool it is, and we know where that tool is so that it never gets lost. We know where the person that's taken it is as well. These are smart systems, and they're all organized in such a way using what we call a 5S system, which is a Japanese 5S system. So you scan your cards, they take the tool away that they need, and we now know who's got that, and if somebody needs it afterwards, they don't have to go to the warehouse and find it, but they can go where it is. Let's talk about interactive digital smart spaces. This is another video here. These are spaces which are 100% digitalized. Digital walls, 360-degree digital walls and digital tables where you interact with them. You'll see this, by the way, this is in a specific college that's in Vergara, where we're trialing this system. We've got 33 of these to see how we can work with them, how teachers and students can work in 100% digitized surroundings. These are tables where you can send information from the table to the wall, or from a table that's here in San Sebastian to another table in another college in Cadiz. That's what digitization can do. These are 360-degree screens, and so we can work, and you can see these screens. They're 360 degrees, and they always work in these digital tables. So if we now move on to interactive spaces, or sorry, immersive ones. I've just spoken about the interactive ones. These are immersive ones. Here you can see people that are in a space using machines and using augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. You can work with robots, digital twins, simulators. But what's important is you're part of the learning experience. You're inside these avatars, these robots. You can see. They're seeing what you can see on the screen, by the way. It's a car. You can take the door apart, or you can even get inside a human body and take the human body to pieces, or you can be inside the car engine, see how that engine works. Or in this case, this is a wind turbine, and they're looking at how this wind turbine works. Or in an operating theatre here, you can see, for example, how a patient's being virtually cared for. We can also work in virtual reality, mixed reality, where there'll be people physically with other people who actually aren't physically there, who will be connected virtually. We'll be even able to touch them. These are the new spaces that I'm talking about when I talk about vocational education and training. Also working on artificial intelligence. I'm not going to project this video because something's gone wrong with it. Of course, it's artificial intelligence. If it was a human, it wouldn't have failed, but because it's artificial intelligence, we've had a problem with the video. But this is really important for teachers, because it turns out that artificial intelligence can help us improve performance in the classroom. You can use more data, but it turns out that if you use artificial vision, you can actually capture people's emotions. You can see whether a group of students is no longer interested in the class, and the professor can tell that. They can realize that and change the class. We can do things. We can detect things that we hadn't even thought would be possible in the past, and we're working on them now so as to be able to apply them, to be able to see how far we can go with that, and research with this to see whether it can be applied. And here, of course, ethics has a really important role to play. And then cybersecurity labs. I'm hoping that this video will work. Here you can see how we're working with something as simple, which is to defend us from possible cyber attacks. We're talking about machines connected to each other via the cloud. Imagine if they put a virus in the cloud, then all of our workshop will come tumbling down. So we've got cyber security labs where students and teachers know how to attack, know how to defend themselves from cyber hacking in an IT environment and also in an industrial environment. We're not so worried about a virus getting a computer. We're talking about a virus attacking a machine that is manufacturing something. You can imagine a virus could actually completely paralyze a manufacturing process, and we would lose sales that way. So it's really important that our students know how important cybersecurity is, and our teacher, not just the IT teachers, but of course them as well, but those that are in machining and other professional areas that really need to know about that. So when you talk about foreseeing the future or looking ahead to the future, it's not so much an issue of improving what already exists, but rather moving towards what will be in the future. And we need to do that in a people-centered way, because we need to know what the role of the human being is going to be in the future. There's all these robots, machines, and digitization. What about our role? What's humankind's role? Well, it needs to be the most important role. Technology is there to support people, to assist people to do things better so that we can work better. But if we work less, even better. So much the better, not the opposite. We shouldn't be living for technology, because that's a problem, because progress without humanism isn't progress, actually. You can call it whatever you want, but it's not progress. Digital transformation isn't brought about when technology has changed, but it comes about when people change their behaviors and their values. And we in BET and you is what we're doing. At least we're trying to do that. We're trying to bring that about. Something else that's really important. Two people having lunch together at a break. They're having a break from a building site that's building a 20-story building, and one says to the other, oh yeah, no, we're doing fine, we're on floor 16, and the other one says, oh, we're on the roof. And they said, do you know what happened to this Basque guy? No, what Basque guy? There was a guy that came from VET who's a really good guy, who's great at working. Oh, what happened to him? Well, he was on floor 16, putting up all the connectivity system, but when he went out to get a tool, it just turns out he slipped. He slipped. And he fell down into the security fence, and obviously he was killed. No, he wasn't killed. No, I don't know what happened, but when he fell on the 14th floor, he held on with the tips of his fingers to the balcony of the 14th floor of the building. So, oh my goodness, you're not going to believe this. But as he was holding on the tips of his filling, a cart came across and ran across his the fingertips, and he fell down even further. Did he die? No, I don't know how. Then he fell down onto some boards on the 12th floor, and he didn't go all the way down. No, thank goodness. No, you don't know the worst of it yet. They were flexible boards, and that catapulted him upwards. And then he went down into the 11th floor. He held onto the cables that were hanging out of the 11th floor. Oh, thank goodness for that. No, even worse than that. The light switch was turned on, so that gave him an electric shock, and he went down. Did he die? No. And they said, what happened? Well, can you tell me what happened at the end? Well, in the end, the firefighters came out and shot him down, because it was the only way we could get rid of him. So the thing is, you don't fail when you fall down. You fail when you give up. That's what I'm trying to say. There are going to be difficult times ahead, because we need bad times, because otherwise, if there were no bad times, we wouldn't know how to enjoy the good times. I know you're all working hard. We're all aware of what you're doing here. But look at how we are facing the future in Basque VET with a short video. I hope you enjoy it.
Avanzamos hacia un futuro inteligente.
We're heading
The fourth
towards
industrial
a smart
revolution is
future.
unfolding rapidly.
The fourth industrial revolution is
We're
unfolding
experiencing
rapidly.
new reality,
We're experiencing
and we can
a
already
new reality.
sense that the
And we
world
can
in
already sense
2030 will be a very different place. The fourth industrial revolution in its entirety will bring with it a new type of society, Society 5.0, in which human beings will be the primary focus. We must move towards a new era for humanity. We are heading towards an automated cognitive world with immediate data access, in which everything will be connected to everything else. In the highly complex evolutionary process before us, only human beings know how to be human. Only people can hold values, feel, create, and adapt to the changes. Our ability to adapt has gotten us this far. We have always learnt from the environment around us, or from the people who are with us at different stages of our lives. We have responded to every challenge with the best possible solution. The challenge we face today is much more complex. We must respond to the situation, to a future which we are just starting to envisage. We are facing a revolution that will change society completely. Robotics, artificial intelligence, digitalization and smart systems will transform all areas of our lives. The Basque professional training sector is preparing for the exciting and complex future that awaits us. It is creating new types of smart professional training centers, which will generate a new work culture and use highly advanced technologies. They will use new methods to respond to new objectives and create smart organizational structures and workspaces. These centers will develop creative ability by building organizations with a genuine capacity for learning and creativity. They look to the future, they have ideas, they take risks, they're autonomous. They use different tools, methods and structures, but above all, they put the people within them at the center. Their ability to adapt, react, anticipate and disrupt will set them apart. Digitalization, robotics and artificial intelligence are tools that will help us to live and work better, by supporting progress and well-being in our society. It is our job to prepare people for living in a complex and exciting future by developing the necessary solutions, using advanced technologies, and above all else, using what makes human beings unique, our values and our hearts. Technology may set us apart, but our hearts will allow us to transcend.
Together, all of us that are here, all of these teachers in the Basque Country, we're all doing incredible things together, really incredible. Everything that we see on those videos is thanks to your work. I can show great videos, I can explain things, but without your work, this would just be pointless. But all of this is real, we're doing this now. And if something is making VET successful, it's the fact that we're very humble, we're very simple, and we work hard. This tremendous amount of work that you're doing to make this all move forward, always trying to do the best for the youngsters that are coming along behind us and for our productive fabric. These three words allow us to drive forward something that is very fundamental. One of the most beautiful words that I know is hope. Hope. Hope that society will live better. Hope that we are going to be living in a better world. Hope that we as people live better, that we be better people, and the hope of thousands and thousands of students, of thousands and thousands of people who trust us because they hope for the best future for their sons and daughters. And that's our responsibility. We're accountable. And that's what's being done. People here in the Basque Country, in the Basque Autonomous Region, trust VET for their future. That's what I talk about when I talk about developing hope. And we know where we're going. You really need to realize that. We know where we're going and we know what we need to do. I explained just very briefly what we're doing, but we know where we're heading, what we need to do, but we're going to need you still. We've done an awful lot of incredible things over recent years. And we've done things well, but we need you again now. And we need you to be engaged. We need you to be committed. We need you to show generosity. We need you to be enthusiastic. Or as my regional minister said to me recently, we're just pure emotion in VET, and it's true. Everything you explain, every time you explain to us what you're doing, every time you explain how you work, it's emotion that you get across to us. Because machines, robots, artificial intelligence will be everything that you want. They can do whatever they want. Yeah, they'll be around the corner. We're going to use them to the best of our ability. But there's something that is really important, which is perhaps the most important of everything, which is our hearts. And we, humans, have a heart. Robots don't have hearts. And they never will have, thank goodness. We apply our heart, our emotion to the work that we want to do, to this progress that we want to achieve in VET. And it's with this heart, which represents humanity, we need to realize that we're not just progressing towards a new era of technology. That's what lots of people think. No. We're moving towards a new era of humanity, of humankind. That's where our work lies. We know that our work in education, in vocational education training, is to prepare people who can change the world. That's where the strength of education lies. That's our strength. We prepare people who can change the world. We prepare people first so that they can be good professionals afterwards. That's what makes us strong. And when we're in the classroom, when we're with our students, it's not just getting across to them knowledge, it's getting across to them who we are, what we feel, what our values are. And we get across, in addition to that, our knowledge. That's where our strength lies, and that's where we can get them to trust us, and that's where you are working hard. That's why you are working, and that's why I'm thankful to you. That's our strength. Because we're applying our heart to everything that we do. This little heart that's up on the screen. Because at the end of the day, it's true, yes, technology will make us stand out above others, and I'm sure it will do. But what's really important in the video you saw that is that it's our heart that will make us transcend, it'll make us go beyond. So the future is going to be exciting, but we need to conquer the future. That's what's really important. And it's when we conquer it, we'll do it a lot better than machines can do it. So go for it. Enjoy this event. I do wish you the best. And an enormous hug to everybody that's out there.
Eskerrik asko, Jorge Arévalo. Gizateriak eta lanbide heziketak
Thank you, Jorge, for speaking about everything that is changing, because we're looking towards a human change.
Training. And now we are going to give the floor to the president of one of the most international companies in the Basque Country. Invitamos a subir al escenario a Andrés Arizcorreta.
We invite Andrés Arizcorreta, who is the CEO of CAF, and will be speaking about the future of companies and the importance of vocational training. The floor is yours. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, first of all, to the Basque government for inviting me to be here, for giving me the opportunity of speaking to you all. And listening to Jorge Arévalo's words, I remember what the regional minister and I talked about when he first asked me to be part of this conference. And I said, I have no idea about vocational training, because here you're all the experts. But as the regional minister never accepts your first answer, and he insists, because I know him well from when he was the mayor of Tolosa, and little by little he was able to convince the companies to go to Tolosa because he had prepared an infrastructure for them. I said, well, I don't know if I should speak. And he said, well, you should speak about your experience. But that really caught me, because I have more than 40 years experience in the same company, a Basque company from Guipúzcoa, from the El Goierri area, which is not the same as any other area. And that's what I will do, what I will try to share today, my experience with vocational training in this company. And let me tell you, we are with the government in our heart, but we work with many others too, because as you will see, we have had a very long and lasting relationship. Moreover, I am convinced that I'm not going to say that because I'm in a vocational training, that thanks to vocational training, but I would say that without vocational training, it would be impossible to be where we are now. The reality of the industry that we have in different countries, and we have the representatives of these countries here, would not be able to progress, because the reality of the raw material that comes from the colleges is that sometimes we don't have those colleges, we don't have that training. And manufacturing training is not that complex, but you need to know how to read the plan, weld, machine parts, and other stuff. And you cannot come from serving hamburgers to doing this. There is an intermediate stage, and when this is done, then we obtain this reality. And that's what I'm going to try and explain through my experience, and mainly to express what we see from the private sector and what we demand to vocational training. Because I must acknowledge that with the videos that Jorge showed us, I feel quite well. It is true, if you do what you've said you're going to be doing, then you're on the right track to what we are demanding and what we will be needing in the private sector. Let's see if I can get this to work. So first I will start with advertising. I think I won't be selling any buses or trains here today, but let me at least speak a bit about our company. We are a company working on railway rolling stock, which is trains. Recently, we are working also on urban buses, and we've given step forwards to everything that has to do with the most advanced signage, train systems, comprehensive systems, and so on and so forth. These are our figures. We've been working for more than 100 years. So we started at the end of the 19th century, 1860 something, in a plant that manufactured trains, and before CAF existed in 1917, so more than 100 years, with 13,000 employees present in more than 50 countries. We've developed more than 200 railway projects in the 5 continents. There's 200,000 new buses that have been already delivered, and our turnover would be around 3,000 million euros. Obviously, all this experience and some of the aspects have been key to us, and that is technology development and internationalization and development. I believe these have been the 2 main pillars for us. Always trying to be competitive as all other companies, because we compete with bigger companies, because you might believe 13,000 is a lot of employees, but our main competitor has 80,000. So, as I was saying, this is what we want to focus on and continue doing. We could say that we're in a good position. If there is a consensus nowadays in Western society, that is that everything having to do with decarbonization and the fight against the problems of pollution and climate change are a key element. In the European Reconstruction Plan and in the European Green Deal, we always find this idea. And in fact, mobility is one of those elements that causes this pollution. Therefore, we're lucky enough to be in an environment in which the future will allow us to grow. Let me give you some figures. For railway rolling stock will continue growing. It will continue growing at 2% at least every year. But if we look into buses, 45% of the new urban buses have to be clean buses, and that's by 2025, and more than 65% by 2030. When EU talks about clean buses, we're not talking about hybrid, we're talking 100% electric or hydrogen buses that are non-polluting. So this is a whole new world for us. And in Spain, with the areas of low emissions, and I would encourage you to even create zero emissions area, because that's the way of convincing citizens. I always say if a mayor that puts in place drastic measures with non-polluting public transport, after the political discussions, because people can say, yes, you can, I want to drive my car. Okay, you can do that, but you have to pay taxes for it. So I believe there's a lot of space to grow. But I come here to talk about CAF, our company, and its relationship with vocational training. And there are a couple milestones that are very important. In 1917, when the company was officially created with this name, CAF had the need to find skilled workers of the time. And we had a trainee school. In 1917, we already had this kind of trainee school, which became our own college. In a company of our size, we had our supermarket, housing, churches, schools, and a training college. And in the year 1960, in Franco's times, we were a college that provided different qualifications. And in 1963 is when in the Goierri area, the vocational training college is created, and CAF contributes with its school, and the school becomes part of the El Goierri College. So as I was saying, our heart is in the Goierri School because it celebrated its 50th anniversary in 2013, and we continue collaborating. Here on the next picture, that's to compare with those videos of the future that Jorge showed us. Here we have the teacher complying with safety and health measures, and these were the young people that were being trained at the time. And they were fitters, lathe operators, mill operators, boiler makers, and so on and so forth. If we go to the specific data of the 13,000 people in our organization, 18,840 have vocational training. And if we focus on the Basque Country, it's 3,040 of them, mainly in El Goierri, but also in Irún and other areas. 3,040 people, which is 2 per every engineer, because there's around 1,400 engineers in the company in the Basque Country. And per each engineer, we have 2 people from vocational training. And mainly we have mechanics, the electricians, design, and management, mainly the first 3. And I do recognize that there's an important gap that was present in newspapers yesterday, which is the role of women. It's really small if we look at percentages. We're speaking about 10-15%, even though at one point the college, the unions and ourselves have publicly invited women to incorporate to our company, because they have wages and working conditions that are much better than in other sectors. But still, we're not able to seem appealing to them. And I believe this as an element to reflect on, because right now we need more people, and then only 15% of women decide to work on these professions of the future is a very big gap that we should be able to do something about. For us, vocational training is not only to have young people that come to work with us. We want to have a relationship, and in fact we have it with the college in El Goierri and others. And we have a relationship, but there's also ongoing training initiatives and we want to collaborate with the colleges. We want them to participate so that our training programs are shared and known by them. We also want reskilling or retraining programs. It is true that manufacturing is not so important, but design is more important now, and we are retaining people that started in the workshop and that later on go to design. And we need to count with the collaboration of the colleges for specific training. We need to train them on test them, magnetic particles, non-destructive tests, and others. Because our workers cannot be focused only on training others, so that's why we need the collaboration of colleges. What's happened with our internationalization process and vocational training? When there was no vocational training, then the plants do not create roots in the area. So in some places, it's being us who have had meetings with town councils, unions, and other politicians to find formulas, because this is something that we believe it's normal, but we don't find it everywhere. We don't have vocational training everywhere, and even in important countries. So this internationalization has been very useful, because young people from the vocational training colleges have been able to travel, and they spend a few years maintaining trains in the deserts of Arabia or in the Norwegian fjords, and they stay there for a few years, and this encourages them to learn languages, English, and to live abroad. In my next slide, I've taken this from a document that you're preparing at the ministry, and I'm not going to go into it in detail. It's just a reflection on what are the needs of the future for vocational training, because this is an issue that needs to be analyzed, and we need to put measures in place. In the Basque Country, vocational training has an adequate level. It needs to be improved. That's obvious, and Jorge Arevalo said so. But it is true that since the 80s, and when the Basque government is created, there is a clear idea, and that the industrial policy is significant, and it is significant as well as university, vocational training, and technology centers. They all work together. Vocational training with no industrial policy, with nothing else would be not as important. And little by little, I'm destroying everything here on stage. I really don't know what I'm doing now.
Bueno, ¿y el futuro? Pues.
And what about the future? I believe the videos explained it really well. But as a company, and like all companies, we're in a process of transition, sustainability, connectivity, and digital transformation. Our manufacturing plants are digital, warehouses too, virtual reality is present in assembly processes. So we're already seeing this. For example, a specific case so that you see that that's real. The pandemic has allowed us to learn things that we didn't imagine we could do. We've been able to validate the design of full trains for New Zealand with no one traveling to New Zealand or no one from New Zealand coming over here, by making use of all these technologies. Even more, we've been able to deliver trains in the UK. Before, you had many inspectors to checking everything, but they just said, do this test and this other test, and so on. So you can validate a design and deliver trains with a high complexity, with no physical presence. So everything you progress so that the youth are familiar with this kind of techniques and methods makes real sense. And I would like to finish by speaking about the challenges that we face: reduce lead time, improve efficiency, standardize methods. But to do this, our levers are experts in automation, collaborative robotics, digital manufacturing, analytics, virtual reality, and everything that has to do with lean manufacturing. If you go to vocational training colleges and this is what you're focusing on, then this is what the industry is demanding too. And to finish, we are working together with 32 other relevant organizations in the railway field in a program called Staffer. This program tries to identify the training gaps in the sector, both in the engineering area but also in the vocational training area. And we're part of this program to see what are the strategies that we can develop. We will give this information to the government, but all the results, all the outcomes will be shared with you. Because there's something that is clear. In the meeting that the president of companies have, the European group of railway manufacturers, one of the big concerns is the fight for talent. Being able to attract these young people, because for many young people in Europe, the train is something of the 19th century. It's not appealing enough compared to other things. So we need to fight to get the best professionals. But to do this, we also need to identify and be aware of the skills that are needed, the know-how that is needed, and what is the gap between what exists and what we need. This is what we wanted to share with you. This is the non-ending dynamic of a relationship between a company with BT centers, technology centers, and universities, creating an ecosystem in which the industry has a relevant role. In fact, the pandemic has shown us that people, for example, Macron visited our factory in France, saying that it wouldn't be possible that we didn't have chips, masks, and that countries have to refocus on this industrialization process. And it's not exactly that I agree with what Macron was saying at the time, but the same thing is happening with Brexit in UK. It's providing new opportunities too. And I am an optimist because I believe that confronting the pressure of the Chinese, the US has started to work, and it seems that Europe too, because if not, we will end up bringing everything from China. And one day we won't have vaccines, other days we won't have tips, and then we won't have raw materials like aluminium. And then we will have absolutely nothing. So we have to fight against this. We have to focus on the industry, and vocational training is a key element. 80,000 people of 13,000 are come from vocational training. So we are very aware of this in our company. Thank you.
Eskerrik asko, Andres Arizkorreta, zure hitzengatik.
Thank you, Andres Arizkorreta. You can now talk about all of this until 11:30, half an hour.
11:30. formación profesional. Y nuevamente miramos.
We continue with Brussels and through streaming. Right now, the staff of the European Union cannot leave the country to work, so we have the person that will be speaking now. Our next guest is Chiara Rondino. She is the head of Unit B3, Vocational Education and Training at the Directorate General for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion of the European Commission.
Lan aurretik eta zentzu honetan eskarmentu handia dauka testuinguru aldakorretan enplegu aukerak bilatzeko eta sortzeko orduan. Beraz, nola ez, bere ponentzia oso interesgarria izango delakoan, gehiago itxaron barik, hitza emango diogu. Mrs. Riondino, hello from San Sebastian. I think you are ready. Can we hear you? I give you the floor. Welcome.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to this conference. I'm very sorry I'm not there with you, but I am here in Brussels in the delegation of the Basque Country, so I feel I am, in a way, with you in this piece of Basque Country in Brussels. When I first read the title of the conference, I thought it was absolutely brilliant because it captures three essential keywords of our time. First of all, humanity, because we should never forget that everything that we do is about having people at the center, and we should never forget our values of solidarity and generosity and what makes each and every one unique. Technology, this is pretty straightforward, although we should never forget that there are a lot of opportunities and possibilities offered by technologies, but there are also some challenges and some pitfalls, and we have to address them. And then intelligence, and then I thought this was very interesting because I was wondering what kind of intelligence are we talking about? Are we talking about artificial intelligence? Are we talking about skills intelligence? Or are we talking about human intelligence, so that creativity, innovation, critical thinking, this is absolutely essential to move forward in this era? I like to think all of them are relevant for our discussion. And of course, vocational education and training is at the crossroad of all this. It should evolve and adapt to take the pace with the time, but it should also be a motor to ensure that we can take up the opportunities available to us, thanks to technology, but in a smart and a humane way. The pandemic has taken a terrible toll for everyone across the globe. It has also exposed our vulnerabilities, and it has largely caught us unprepared in many areas, including those that are important for us today, which are education and training and the labor market. And it has also had an effect of accelerating something that we all knew about and that we had talking about for many decades, I would say. We have all been talking about the opportunities of technology, the opportunities of digital learning, but then yet when all learning had to move online overnight, we were still unprepared. But the good thing is that in that very moment we stopped debating and talking among ourselves about all the reasons why we should not or we could not take up these opportunities, and we just started doing it, of course with different degrees of success in the different regions, mostly linked also to the availability of digital skills, availability of digital infrastructure, the degree to which our pedagogies were already taking into account these opportunities. Technology in these past year and a half, has proved that it can help us bring education and training closer to people, independently from where they are, independently whether they have special needs. It has also brought tremendous innovation, of which I'm sure we will see many examples throughout this conference. If we think about virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, this is something that is allowing us to train and to have a true work-based experience, even in areas where we could not do it because they are too difficult or too dangerous for people who are not already trained to have a practical experience. Yet, it has been used increasingly by innovative and excellent VET centers and programs in Europe. Technology also proved essential in reducing the disruption in the labor market, allowing people to work remotely. If we think about the fact that 4 out of 10 people took up teleworking during the pandemic, it's 40% of the EU workforce that all of a sudden had to start working online. And then we know from surveys that 50% of people that are now teleworking would really like to keep on teleworking because it allows for a better, in some ways, in some cases, for a better work-life balance. It allows for less pollution when we are all commuting to our place of work every morning and then back every evening. Of course, again, to take up this opportunity, we need to be bold, we need to be courageous, and we need the digital skills to do it, from basic to advanced. And of course, the array of soft skills that allow us to bring out the humanity and the intelligence in the technology. In 2020, the Commission put forward a number of initiatives for skills in the labor market in response to the pandemic. Early on, when the lockdown started and people started losing their job, we put forward an instrument called SURE, which is short for Support to Unemployment Risks in an Emergency. Well, SURE helped cushion the rise in unemployment, keeping over 31 million workers in a job and supporting 2.5 million companies across Europe. Last summer, we adopted also the European Skills Agenda to improve the relevance of skills in the EU, to strengthen sustainable competitiveness and ensure social fairness and build resilience in the EU. We also adopted the Youth Employment Support Package, which strengthens the Youth Guarantee and the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. Last, but certainly not least, in November 2020 marked a very important moment for European cooperation in vocational education and training. I would say a historic moment for our cooperation, because for the first time we had a Council recommendation for vocational education and training in a holistic way, tackling young people and older people, tackling teachers and learners, tackling funding instruments and a vision for that. At the same time, Member States, together with the other European Economic Area countries, the candidate countries, and the European social partners, took even a step forward and endorsed the Osnabrück Declaration on European Cooperation on VET. An European Association of VET providers and learners' representatives were fully involved in the preparation of these two initiatives and are now fully involved in their implementation. So we'll start with a short focus on the VET recommendation, which sets 3 very important collective quantitative objectives. So first of all, we want to achieve by 2025 a share of employed graduates from VET of at least 82%. We want at least 60% of VET recent graduates to benefit from exposure to work-based learning. And finally, we want at least 8% of learners in VET to benefit from a learning mobility opportunity abroad, which is challenging in this time where we still have many restrictions, but that is essential to build a European spirit, but also to learn many work and life skills. The recommendation focuses on a number of very important principles that are now being reflected in the work at EU and national level. First of all, VET needs to be agile in adapting to dynamic labor markets. It has to be flexible, and it has to be offering progressions opportunities, and progression opportunities also to different education and training sectors. Third, VET is a driver for innovation and growth. VET is attractive and based on a modernized and digitized offer. It offers equal opportunities. It is underpinned by quality assurance and by effective governance involving all stakeholders, because VET, for its special place between education and training and the labor market, is really at the heart of our communities and our economies. And this should be reflected in a partnership approach among all that are involved. Member states now are working on implementation plans to be presented by May next year. And we in the Commission are working closely with them to support as we can. But of course, this is not the only thing that the recommendation asked us to do in the Commission. It also asked us to work on some very important initiatives at EU level. And one of the most important initiatives, I would say, maybe the jewel, the crown jewel of the work that we are now carrying out at EU level, are the centers of vocational excellence, for which I am very pleased and grateful to say that the Basque experience has been from the very beginning a source of inspiration and a best practice. So thank you very much for that, and we will continue to learn from this excellent experience. But you will hear much more about the EU work on centers of vocational excellence from my colleague João Santos tomorrow. While the VET recommendation sets out a broader vision for reforms in VET, the Osnabrück Declaration sets out concrete and shorter-term actions around 4 main objectives. First, the resilience and excellence through qualitative, inclusive, and flexible VET. Second, establishing a new life learning culture, showing the relevance of continuing vocational education and training, and making use of digitalization. Third, sustainability and the green link in VET. And fourth, the place of VET in the European education area and globally in the world as an example of excellence. I would like to conclude this intervention by talking about funding. So to support the recovery and the digital and the green transition, there are currently unprecedented levels of resources available at the EU level. So you will probably be familiar with some of our flagship funds that have supported already skills development through this year. So the European Social Fund, Erasmus+, of course, the Digital Europe Programme and InvestEU. And this has been strengthened and reinforced in the current programming period to support also specifically skills development for the recovery and for the twin transition. But the biggest, largest novelty, I would say, is the new recovery and resilience facility that was adopted last year and that has made available over 670 billion euro for investment in support of the recovery, the growth of our economy, the well-being of our citizens. And we are delighted to see, as the national implementation plans for the Recovery and Resilience Facility come in, we are very happy to see that a very significant chunk of this spending is being allocated to social issues, labor market and skills, education, social policies, health, and long-term care. And finally, our President, Ursula von der Leyen, in her State of the European Union in September, has launched a structured dialogue with member states on digital skills, a dialogue that will span all council formations, so all ministries at the national level, because if we want to move forward, we need to all be on the same page. And digital skills are not only something that we do in education and training, are not only something that is needed for the labor market. This is clear. We need a joint effort, and we need to talk to each other. So, dear participants, dear all, we know what we need to do. We have a very clear roadmap of what we want to achieve and how to get there. We have the resources to get there, to help us in this endeavor. Now, we only need to start working together to achieve these objectives. So once again, thank you very much, and I wish you an excellent continuation of this conference. Thank you.
Thanks to you too, Mrs. Rondino. Hopefully next time when COVID won't be a threat anymore, hopefully we will see you here in San Sebastian.
Yeah, advanced humanity is something that is in your hands too, so thank you. Vidal. Thank you for facing the future with optimism. And here we now have the president of the Basque government, Iñigo Urkullu. Thank you for being here on the first day.
Lehendakari jauna, zurea da hitza, ongi etorri.
Sailburua, herri agintari eta
Mr. Regional Minister and representatives of the public authorities, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Both for those that are here in the room and those that are following us by streaming, thank you so much for inviting me here, and thank you for taking part at this event. The goal of this international event is to talk about vocational education and training in the era of humanity, technology, and intelligence. If you want to find the keys to this all of this, that's what we're here for today. And thank you for allowing me to say a few words here. We're going through a disruptive technological revolution, but this gives rise to human feelings, both concern and excitement. Changes are coming about very fast. That leads to consequences, and quite clear this continuous change is taking us to a different unknown world, is leading us on there to this different unknown world. So once again, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm saying the same thing in Spanish as I said in Basque earlier. The world is turning around us, and there are new values out there. It's being driven by new values, new cultures, and new priorities. I share this hope that we're able to strike a balance with our natural surroundings and be sustainable to guarantee the future of humankind. Advancing towards a 5.0 society is going to force us to reinvent ourselves, and it's time to get involved in disruptive strategies. We're living in a new era which is providing us with a great deal of opportunities and benefits throughout the world. It's also a time of major risks because not everything is going to be possible. In the Basque Country, we work with a clear goal to drive forward progress that is based on the sustainable development model, human sustainable development model, which should bring us to a better, more welfare and fairer society, a society that's based on education, health, social cohesion, sustainability, and our ability to innovate, sharing with a long-term view, which is something that we can see in our 2030 agenda, sharing also the moral and ethical high ground necessary to get fair, balanced progress for our society. Change and transformation leads us to a great deal of complexity and also uncertainty. We've seen that with the pandemic. Seeking to strike a balance and in complexity via cooperation is actually one of our major challenges. In the Basque language, we call this auzolana, which means shared work seeking for the common good. In the Basque country, we're working towards a clear goal: innovation and progress. Progress which is based on sustainable development, sustainable that needs to guarantee society's welfare. And to guarantee society's welfare, we need to combine two viewpoints. On the one hand, knowledge and attitude. And using this, we need to support wealth creation, although we know that that's not altogether sufficient. We need to be fair. We need to support each other. It's really vital to respect and to help those people that may be left behind. At this international conference, we're talking about vocational training. That's what we're here to talk about. But we need to also be clear that our goal is social cohesion. It's a priority, social cohesion, for a society that is modern, advanced. It's a priority. It's part of our model. So we're talking here about a smart, technological society. We need to understand the present better to live the future. That's part of what we're thinking about when we talk about what's behind the idea of this conference. Transformation process should always be innovation process based on three pillars: knowledge, technology, and collaboration. You're going to be able, during this Congress, to see more of the transformations that we're bringing about in our VET model, transformations that are going to allow us to meet the needs of the future that we're looking forward to. VET tries to be at the cutting edge of these transformations. It works today on what we're going to be needing tomorrow. It prepares our youngsters to live in a different and better society. A society that has more opportunities, new values, and new goals, prepared to take on board new challenges in this global scenario which VET is going to develop in this area of human technology and intelligence. VET has to work on transformation. These colleges, these VET colleges, their management and teachers are showing their engagement and their strength in doing so. And this, at the time that we're living through at the moment, is something that's very admirable. Thank you so much for your work and for your will to face current and future challenges, because there is a new era ahead of us. We're designing our space in this future and putting at the heart of this challenge people. We're not moving towards the era of technology. Actually, what we're doing is a new era of humanity. Let's not forget that people are the main protagonists of any transformation. And with this spirit and with this ambition, I should like to wish all of you that you enjoy this international conference for vocational education and training and for your stay in the Basque country. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much.
Eskerrik asko baita zuri ere, lehendakari.
Thank you so much for having decided to come and spend some time with us here today and for having closed this first day of the event. At the Cursal in San Sebastian. I hope you enjoy the visits to different VET colleges this afternoon to enjoy firsthand, to see firsthand these transformations that are being brought about in VET in the Basque Country. See you back tomorrow.
You can listen to more presentations about how we are adapting to all the challenges of the humanity and of VET. Thank you very much for being there, for being with us. See you tomorrow.